Welcome to After Credits here on the Intercut podcast channel, where we review a new movie, including everything that comes after the credits. I am your co-host, Zachary Shevich, and joining me from Earth 616, it's Arturo Zurita.
Glad to be here, Zach, to talk about your favorite movies that come out on a yearly basis. I know you were excited for this one because when a 3.5 is given by you for an MCU movie, that means you're demanding, you're imploring people to go out to whatever multiverse they can, whatever theater to catch this.
I was thinking about it, and I might even have this in my top 5 MCU movies. Maybe.
Sir.
But that's getting a little bit too much too soon. We won't go full spoilers here at the top, but we will discuss this movie with some detail. So if you are a spoiler phobe, consider this your warning. If you're down with the mystic arts, let's get ready and get into Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Have you been doing that too? I keep wanting to say but it's in the Multiverse of Madness.
I'm just surprised that they didn't do the colons, like Doctor
Strange, Multiverse of Madness.
I like it that he's in the Multiverse of Madness.
Exactly.
I just wish he was more in his movie, Zach, because this is a Wanda movie. It's a Wanda movie. It's what people got to know right off the bat. This is not even any spoilers. Mm-hmm. Whatever the trailers told you, I feel that there was a lot of people who are coming into this movie right off of WandaVision. And if you're coming right off of WandaVision, you're going to have yourself a very interesting story.
Right.
You don't answer anything from Doctor Strange 1. You don't even need to see Doctor Strange 1 to watch this movie. You could just pick up on all the pieces. Okay, he never got the girl. I guess he was a surgeon. Does that matter? He cared about pop culture back in the day. Don't worry about it. That stuff's done. That was just to compete with Tony Stark back in the day. To me, through and through, it's Wanda.
This is Doctor Strange's first headlining, or at least co-headlining gig in 6 years after some pit stops in Avengers movies, as well as Spider-Man No Way Home. He's no longer the Sorcerer Supreme, no longer got the Time Stone. He does have that fancy Robert Downey Jr.-esque goatee, because he's got to, be the new leader of whatever's going on here, as well as some, truly, truly terrible wigs in this movie. I mean, I've seen a lot of Twitter uniting around this, but man, I don't know how a movie with a $200 million budget couldn't afford a single convincing hairpiece.
Terrible.
Unreal. Anyway, like No Way Home, he is once again paired with a plucky teen sidekick. This time it's the multiverse hopping America Chavez, played by newcomer Xochitl Gomez, who is being chased by a demon trying to steal her powers, and is up to Strange to solve this multiversal riddle while preventing the world from collapsing in on itself. Arturo, there's a lot of anticipation around Doctor Strange 2, given that it has many familiar faces, as well as Sam Raimi in the director's chair. So for you, did it live up to your expectations?
No. But I did love that you actually got to see Sam Raimi's direction. There are very few movies in the MCU that I think you really get to see the director shine through, because it's been a lot of, picking up whoever the independent darling has been and then just molding them into that, right? It's picking up like a really good international director for Black Widow and then being like, yeah, let's just strip you of all of that, right? They don't get to ever direct the action sequences. They don't ever get to do a lot of the actual in-depth stuff when it comes to the writing. They're kind of just told, put your name on it, and this is your next big project. To be able to give Sam Raimi the reins on a lot of the movie, I thought was really cool. Mm-hmm. It's part of a lot of the discussion that we're going to have here in terms of the way that he was able to take things. But let's not act like he was given complete range. There are moments where it stutter steps. It's like that last... what's his name? Wes Anderson movie where you're getting a little bit of a flashback and then you're pausing for a whole story. A little bit of flashback, pausing for the whole story.
Yeah.
And you kind of get that here where they're turning the director on and off, it feels, at points. But when they have him on, dude, there's a reason why Spider-Man, the original trilogy, is one of my favorites. It's because it comes from this man who really knows how to get into a character.
This definitely feels to me more like a Kevin Feige film with Sam Raimi than a Sam Raimi film produced by Kevin Feige, if that makes sense. This still has the Marvel sheen, the Marvel aesthetic, but there is sort of like a visual clarity and a visual inventiveness of sorts that you don't normally find in these types of movies. There's just like a a way around how Sam Raimi directs action that I think even when it is people shooting lasers at each other with their hands or whatever, energy beams, you get the sense of perspective, the sense of place, the sense of scale a little bit more than you do in a lot of these types of movies. So, yeah, maybe it's not a full-on Raimi moment, but those moments when Raimi does poke through are really exciting. There's just some craftswork on display here that I don't think you normally get from this level of blockbuster filmmaking. This isn't exclusive to the MCU. I wish movies like Uncharted even had just a little bit more of a daring sense of innovation with how they want to do camera work or choreograph a certain scene, or maybe just the visual creativity to take some chances that you don't normally see. So for me, I kind of clung onto the moments that felt personalized, or from a specific perspective that's not the type of perspective we've been getting, and something that's maybe, like you were saying in your Let Me Explain, just a bit creepier than what we normally get from this style of movie.
And it just shows you that we are so tamed, and that these movies have been so sterilized, that this is too much for people. Remove it from the MCU, Zach. Any other PG-13 movie that does stuff like this, we wouldn't bat an eye.
No.
But now that it's been included into this franchise, people are like, whoa, that's not what I know this franchise to be. That should be a good thing. I like that. I think some of the best stuff that we get is from Guardians of the Galaxy, another movie that really took a director and said, hey, for the first time, just go do your thing. Don't do the Avengers Joss Whedon, stare at the camera. Just do the type of jokes you would do. Look how that turned out. I think being able to take a story and being able to add those horror elements was fantastic. It is not the scariest movie, all right? We're not talking Hereditary or Exorcist over here. We're talking just a movie that's able to add those flourishes, many of which are just homages to previous Sam Raimi stuff, which I didn't mind. But that allows you to have something different. People there are exposition sequences in this movie, and you just have this 80s opacity in of each of the characters floating in and out. You have moments in where you have some of the main characters coming off in ways that kind of
don't really cohere.
Throw away to everything you've seen before.
Yeah.
But technically it's been there. And again, that's where I think it comes down to the writing, and a lot of it, which I feel has been manipulative, not just in this movie, but in previous projects. And that's why people feel like the characters that they know and love, or they thought they knew and loved, we're always going to head this way, Zach.
Yeah.
They were always going to head this way.
Yeah, while I think there is a lot of visual clarity to how the film is assembled here, there is not a clarity of character. They haven't really settled on who these people are. And the problem is, I feel like they haven't settled on who these people are over the course of several movies, right? This has been a problem for Doctor Strange, maybe even dating back to his introduction to the MCU, in that you get some types of emotions from him in the beginning of the movie and a different set of emotions from him in the end of the movie.
They don't tie back in.
Yeah, he's dispassionate and then he's really invested, or he doesn't care and then he's very emotional about it. They haven't quite decided where he or many of the other people in this movie have how they feel about things. There's a moment America spends a lot of the movie not feeling comfortable about Strange, being distrustful of him, and then ultimately giving him a big hug randomly when they haven't really had a reconciliation or anything like that. It's
what I feel about the Steven and Spider-Man scenes in the last movie. Yeah. That made no sense. He went from see you later, kid, to we're gonna miss you, Peter, once you leave. For an Oscar-nominated actor to read these scripts, man, and just throw out any cohesiveness to this character. The character is never the character. It is whatever the MCU needs them to be. That's probably one of the most tiring parts.
Yes.
But I will say
that sort of malleability of the character rather than setting them in stone a little more.
A big thing that for one of the upcoming ones, because obviously I will say that one of the best things Multiverse of Madness does, love it or hate it, is that it does set up, Zach, everything else that's going to be going on for the future. I think that's a really big thing that they're pushing forward, is that this is the movie where it's letting you know, oh, all that stuff from the TV show, yeah, we're finally announcing it on the big screen, and just know that we're going to be getting into all these crazy things. We're going to introduce to you characters before we introduce to you the characters, bro. They are now dealing with implications. We're seeing the shadows of characters before we actually meet the original versions that will be a part of our timeline. A cop out, yet also like the most baller thing for a studio to do now. It's like they're able to have precursors, preludes before you even meet the origin story of some of these people.
Yeah.
Well, for Wanda though, I think it's been, and I don't know if that's gonna be a question that you had later. I think her story's always been leading to this point.
Yeah, well, I think we can get into that when we want to delve a little bit more into spoilers. Before we get quite into the full spoilers, I want to mention, this is the first MCU film we've had in a couple years that centers on characters we've already met moving forward into the future. This isn't like a backward-looking film like Black Widow, and this isn't a Disney Plus series. This is a big Marvel movie, and I'm obviously excluding Spider-Man since that's more on the Sony side. So given that this is centered on Strange and Wanda, these characters who are so central to what we feel like will be whatever the Avengers is moving forward, did you feel like this did a good job of moving Marvel Cinematic Universe as like a overall overarching idea into the next step, into the next phase? Or was it a little bit like, okay, and then what for you?
I guess the answer is both, but I'm going to lean towards the yes, because my only no is that it doesn't feel as profound. They're moving the pendulum this way, but it's like, yeah, but once you're introducing me like something so grand, this is the best you guys are coming up with. This stuff should be you should be tripping over your creativity, and they're withholding it, I feel. But it is finally setting you towards the direction of this multiverse. To me, what Spider-Man covered was nothing more than going back on their properties, right? It's like, all right, this is a Sony movie, first and foremost.
Yeah,
we're celebrating Spider-Man. It's backwards looking. This is trying to look forward, which is why all of the variants that they're meeting in these multiverses, that's where we're really getting prepped for, are just variations of the said actor that has signed the contract. We're not going to get another one. You all don't know the '03 version of Doctor Strange or anything else. It's just going to be him. It's just going to be different versions of all these actors we've already hired, and fan casting. But I do think that it's opened up the door for whatever their next Infinity Saga is going to be, right? That all led to the Thanos fight. Whatever this is going to lead, many have speculated it's Secret Wars. I feel they could change it at any moment, but to me, it's going to be that big fight in where there's going to be a lot of different variants coming in to fight whatever the next big war is. You know, we've had it in the shows, but Loki can't be the precursor to a movie, in my opinion. WandaVision can't be that precursor. And even in Spider-Man, they weren't really exploring the idea of going into different multiverses. The multiverses came to them. This is the first one where we're seeing them be able to have someone who has the ability to jump into these different things. How do you feel about it? I know you're not one who wants to be doing all the homework going into these movies, though.
That's the thing, is that like there's certain elements of these films where somebody shows up and you're asked to treat it like it's a significant event. And like, because I understand the film language that they're trying to communicate, like I get, okay, this matters, but like the why isn't there, and they are not providing it that often for you if you don't go and do all that homework. So I did feel like, to a certain extent, like this was a bit of an inconsequential next step. Certain things, like I don't know how much the characters changed between the beginning of the movie and the end of the movie. Like I don't know how Strange is going to act differently moving throughout the world after these events. I don't know if
matter.
I don't know if this is just a consequence of multiversal storytelling, in that like all the real consequences are felt over there and not over here. But
thank you.
It just doesn't feel like they're building in the same way that the earlier films were building. And yeah, maybe part of that is like they're not doing the whole like Thanos big bad world-ending event quite the same way. But I am a little bit left wondering, given all these like flirtations with the multiverse and these flirtations with larger villains that are looming out there, like when we're gonna get to the thing that feels like the next big thing. Right?
Yeah. I think it's going to be a little bit for that, but in the process of doing that, you can't forget to make it a completely cohesive story
Yeah.
for the main characters within their movies. And that's why I don't feel like it's a Doctor Strange 2, because he only learns the same lessons that he already learned in the first one.
Exactly.
A lot of this was episodes of What If, dude. I'm not sure if you were able to catch any of those, but I almost feel like, not only are the series, as Feige said, something that you need to know to understand the movies, and imperative with WandaVision and Loki, but What If is almost like a primer. It kind of had a lot of the characters that you see as cameos already there in that what if scenario. It was kind of telling you, it was like, hey, here's an animated version of maybe something you might see. Hey, here's Doctor Strange kind of going through what he already did in the first, and I guess we're just going to repeat in the second movie in 30 minutes. So knowing that y'all could do that in 30 minutes, it does make the movie feel like a lot of build up to something where we don't even know where it's heading yet. You're just continuously reminding us yet again, multiverses is the thing. All right, but what are y'all going to do with it though?
Right. All right. I want to get into spoilers in just a second, but let's circle back to what you were alluding to. There's been a strange discourse developing online about the film's scares and its rating. I've seen articles in The Hollywood Reporter and Variety now already talking about whether or not this movie should have been rated R rather than PG-13. Art, what is going on here?
We've been sanitized to the Marvel formula. There's no other way to put it, dude. We have forgotten what a PG-13 rating is.
Mm-hmm.
Does it get gruesome? Sure.
Yeah.
But again, it's nothing that if you didn't see it in another movie, you wouldn't say anything about this. This wasn't a Fast movie. None of the Fast movies have ever been rated R. If this wasn't a DC movie, I don't think anybody would say anything. But I think people are so absorbed in that formula of what Marvel has given that they don't want to see anything go out of the boundaries to that. I don't think you need to be a fan of Sam Raimi. But if you loved Guardians of the Galaxy, hell, if you're one of the ones who loved Eternals, you should not be worried about holding a director back. That's another part that confuses me. I'm like, you should allow the director to do what they want.
Yeah.
It may not be everybody's cup of tea, but this idea of Marvel restraining directors is, I think, what's put it in its hole. It kind of reminds me of what Pixar did to themselves. They never ventured out of making these like very photorealistic animations, especially leading up to Toy Story 4, that they got so many people used to that by the time they released Luca, people thought the animation was bad. You get what I mean?
Right.
And it was just different. And the same thing even happened with Turning Red. And I think they've realized with the competition, going back to Marvel, seeing how Spider-Verse was able to break that mold and showing how animation can be done different. And in DC, also showing you that they can let directors really put their flourishes on. I like when Marvel goes back and allows the director to be able to do their thing. But they're competing with what they know has been tried and true. So they'll always stop the director and be like, all right, time to do that MCU thing. Yeah. Yes, I'm writing this is terrible, bro. That whole explanation at the beginning about Spider-Man and his spider butt and his spider pizza. What is that, man? Like, you could tell. It almost feels like an ad, when you're watching a YouTube video and like the YouTubers, we just stop just to do and this is the ad that does this, and this. The movie will stop being a Sam Raimi movie and just be like Josh Whedon's commodified script banter moment.
Interchangeable
quip,
it
feels weird.
Reference, exposition. All right, let's move on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I do think you kind of nailed this discourse in talking about this is Marvel conditioning people in the wrong way, right? Like, I think collectively American parents have decided that Marvel movies are acceptable for children, if not outright kids movies, right? Like they're
having a different discussion.
Yeah, like these movies live on Disney Plus alongside Disney princess movies and other like Disney Channel fare. Like this is it's subsection to the kids section of streaming for whatever reason. Now, like that probably is a bigger comment on the way that we just accept a certain level of violence in our American media that frankly is bizarre to me, but that doesn't mean that if you go a little bit beyond what you previously knew as a PG-13 movie, that it suddenly becomes R-rated, right? Like there are moments in here that are definitely some of the most grotesque stuff that has been in an MCU film, but it is so mild compared to stuff that actually gets an R rating that I don't know. The response feels like almost puritanical to me, which is a little weird. Like,
yeah.
It's not like these movies are rated PG. They're rated PG-13 already. And I don't know any 13-year-old who hasn't seen far more graphic shit than this by now. There was a small, like a maybe 8-10-year-old child in the theater in the screening that I saw, and when the certain eyeball moment happened, he went, "That's disgusting. That's the most disgusting thing I've ever seen." And then he kept rolling with the movie. Boy. Yeah, exactly. Made you feel something. And again, like you're saying with praising Sam Raimi, like I like that you get his flair, his style, his humor. That it adds a little bit of a personality and a texture to a movie that otherwise was lacking it. So I don't know. I just really don't understand why people would push for higher ratings for anything. Like, what happened to trying to sneak into R-rated movies? This wasn't even the most brutal PG-13 superhero movie this year. That was the Batman, right?
For sure. You know, and that one wasn't rated R either.
Yeah.
I think we're getting to a point where, it's just too many fans of one thing, and you're never going to be able to please them all. And that's where Marvel needs to make decisions, and that's why it flip-flops a lot within this movie itself. I'll never be on the side, even when you disagree with something. You know, what do I always tell you when we see a movie and it sets up a sequel? And I'm like, do you still want to see the sequel? We go, yeah, because they already set it up. Finish your job, right? Mm-hmm. Regardless of how I feel about it. Never be on the side of wanting to adjust something for a rating, or not wanting a director to direct. I don't know. Those are always angles that I feel really weird falling into. But yeah, no, I don't see the point of this. I want to see more risks being taken. What's next? The jokes getting cut out of Guardians of the Galaxy because he said it was like a Pollock painting. Yeah. I'm watching Avengers: Age of Ultron, and he says, "Are y'all playing hide the zucchini?" Like, we've had some way more out of pocket stuff than the visuals, man. Some of the stuff that's said in these movies are way worse. Rewatching some of them, bro. There's Headspace, then there's what they did with Black Widow back in the day, man. It's some crazy stuff.
Yeah, definitely. All right, we're taking the veils off. We're going full spoilers on Doctor Strange. This is your last chance to jump off of the theme park ride if that's not for you. But like Captain America Civil War, before this film, Doctor Strange 2 features members of the Avengers as both hero and villain. Wanda takes antagonist duties on a Darkhold-inspired mission to reacquire the children she lost in WandaVision. So, Art, given that choice, does it change how you feel or how fans should feel about WandaVision?
Zach, I'm going to take you back to the summer of 2020, where you and I came out of WandaVision and said, this ain't right.
Something's fishy here.
Zach, why did it take 2 damn years to get to this point? Oh, let me stretch here. We heard so much crap from these WandaVision fans. And we're like, yo, we just the messenger. We just letting you know what's in the comics. Screw the comics. Why do we need to know the comics? Because they kind of okay, forget the comics. Forget the comics that they're based on. Have you seen the show? Have you paid attention to the show? Yeah, she's a hero. Okay. Trailers come out for Doctor Strange. She says, how am I the villain? And you get to be the hero. Wait, so now we jump in from her being the hero to now being she just skipped the villain part and went straight to this idea of not being fair. But then they lied to y'all in those trailers. And they CGI'd her out of every single battle, and they made her look like she was fighting with Wong. People came out of this movie going, y'all released this on Mother's Day weekend. I really also like the Multiverse of Madness being mom.
Yeah.
On Mother's Day weekend, and had a mom doing anything to get her children back, and people feel betrayed, Zachary.
People really
feel
hurt by it.
Like WandaVision has just been thrown in the garbage, and that it was never leading to this. Look, when Khaleesi happened, when she went all like that, Daenerys had just hints and pieces, but they were missing like 2 whole seasons for that turn.
Didn't get that bridge.
Zach, I think we had enough when she was torturing a town, Zach. I think we had enough when she drafted her kids practically to go fight the military right at the end of that. I think when she was forcing her husband, Vision, who was just a clone of Vision, to realize that he couldn't escape his own fate. Rewatching WandaVision now, it is clear as day.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, it was clear as day, Zach, when we first saw WandaVision.
Yeah.
This ain't new.
Yeah.
I don't know why it took so long to get here. Zach, it feels so vindicated, bro.
I know.
Oh, my goodness.
It's great to be on the right side of history.
Ben, here's the thing. It's fantastic. WandaVision is also a decent show. It just felt really weird the way that Marvel was always bamboozling people. The way that show is set up, they made you believe Doctor Strange was going to appear. Mephisto. Marvel's releases, they really revel in that stuff. But there is a moment rewatching WandaVision where Vision actually looks at the audience when he's doing a magic show and goes, "We will lie to you. He's supposed to be drunk. We will lie to you. We will bamboozle you, and we will just straight up change things." And I'm like,
"Are you Kevin Feige?
Are you Kevin?" They set up that show to literally have characters make sure to always tell you, yeah, Wanda's doing evil things, but it's not as evil as that like dude who's running the military. Oh, Wanda, they'll never know what you did for them. It is such a manipulative show. And we tried to say that the show is setting that up and that Marvel is lying to you to make it feel like it's a cookie cutter thing. Y'all refused. After this weekend, man. After this weekend, y'all will go back and watch and realize you've been bamboozled.
I think, to me, that is a little bit of a failing of the show WandaVision. While there is a lot of really interesting stuff there, and I do like the storyline they're telling of like Wanda dealing with this family trauma and like the family that she trying to find safety in this, you know, nuclear family relationship. They tried to give her sort of this satisfying finale that was a little bit too clean for how messy the material of that show is. And that's sort of why I was always like not really sold on the tonal balance of WandaVision. While there was some cool stuff there, it didn't sell the true horror of that situation. And it undersold it so much that I think that's why everybody's doing the getting whiplash from their transition into Multiverse of Madness. Is they're ready for Wanda to be the hero when she's been so clearly been the villain.
They were perfectly put. They were never going to see her as nothing but the hero. No matter how many wrong things she did, to them she was always going to be this like icon. That's the girl. That's Elizabeth Olsen. She has been killing it. Mm-hmm. In every single role she's done for this character, she came into the whole franchise as a villain in Age of Ultron, becomes an Avenger, and then goes through grief. And it was really weird to see people who felt that you could just like overlook the stuff that she did. Mm-hmm. Zach, I don't know about you. I loved her being a villain. I think this adds to that idea of a movie should only have the directors do so much before it's MCU again. The rating can't be that high. My villains aren't, or my heroes aren't allowed to make mistakes. And that is the most annoying part of the discussion. It's that people refuse to see her as someone who could do something evil. And I'm like, but that's part of the grief. Mm-hmm. It felt weird seeing people want her to be the villain and justify her actions.
Yeah, so I want to for
the record, Doctor Strange is just as bad. A lot of people like to say it's like, why does Doctor Strange get away with it? Zach, you know how we roll here. Put that man in jail too. all of these people, ever since Sokovia of Accords, you realized they don't make the smartest decisions.
Yeah.
They don't. So it's not a matter of like, does that person not get in trouble for it? No, they should all get in trouble for it. But I love that they really went all in on her grief in this movie and showed the repercussions of stuff. Cause it was crazy.
I can't blame somebody for somebody who's really invested in these storylines for not liking the bumpiness in getting to the destination, right? Like, cause it's not the smoothest in terms of shifting the characters around, but as long as you buy into them being there, I think they're very effective in those places. For me, Wanda is one of the best MCU villains because we know her so well, and we have so much invested in her that she doesn't feel like this kind of superfluous threat that we know will be gone by the 120th minute. You know what I mean? Like there's actual stakes here because there's the relationship drama between her and all the people that know her and trust in her or whatever. There's stakes here in a way that there aren't stakes in a lot of Marvel movies. So for me, I really loved that they utilized her this way. I thought that it was an interesting exploration of her character, and I thought that Elizabeth Olsen was very good here.
She's fantastic.
I just think she's a very compelling screen presence. You know, we've seen oftentimes you have these villains who you have to put them in crazy outfits, or they have to get all roided up, and she's kind of like not really that big or intimidating in that way, but the way she carries herself is so threatening throughout this movie.
Those lines, dude. I'm not a monster, I'm a mother. Mm-hmm. Do you have a wife? Do they have their mother? Good. Someone will be there to protect. Dude, some of these lines, like, I'm gonna give credit where credit is due. I like a lot of the exposition lines, but the lines that they gave Wanda when she was trying to do anything to get her kids back, dude, this was the Wanda I wanted to see. I think that's why they made WandaVision so soft. They wanted you to like her, to kind of pull the, what's the phrase? To kind of just like flip it on you to catch you off guard. Which again, that's why I think it was very manipulative on purpose. But I've been waiting for it to lead here. I also don't think she's gone. I think is another discussion to be had
I think
in
we'll get
terms
into
of the
that.
future of the MCU. So,
yeah. I think that's worth getting into. Moving beyond Wanda, though, one of the other most anticipated moments, at least from the online community, came in the reveal of the Illuminati, a group of some familiar and some less familiar faces. Before we talk about the cameos themselves, did you like how Doctor Strange 2 used its cameos?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, because it's not that big. It's exactly what a cameo should be.
Yeah.
Because it's like people are like, oh, I didn't like the cameo or whatever. What would you have done different? A variation, maybe. But like that's exactly the length of what a cameo should be. It appeared exactly where it should in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
It is just so apparent, Zach, that none of these people are in the same freaking room.
Yeah,
Bro,
definitely.
all these. It's like the end of No Way Home. You can tell that they're on a green screen protected set. They were brought in cloaked like Baby Yoda, so no one can see them. They could never be in the same room in the same scheduled days. It's bad, bro. Like, it's just blocks.
Yeah.
You know? Like, even when they do their big fight, it's just like there's like nothing added. It clearly feels like a green screen. There is no depth to these rooms because they are just on a little studio lot. Why? That is the worst part about them. And I worry that they're going to continue doing this for future things because I really do feel the cameo sequence, the way it's shot, is ugly. The same way that I feel a lot of the ending of No Way Home is ugly between the guys in the scaffolding. And these are like really big moments. And I'm like, I get you're hiding it for spoilers, but dude, everybody like called it out. So at this point, just find a way to ship them in, dude. Tell them they film in Jungle Cruise 2 or something, and then, you know, he's going to go visit his wife, and then that's how you guys are able to record him. I think they just have to be smarter in the scheduling because what they're doing right now, it makes their stuff age really quick. And the only reason people like these frames is because it's, oh my goodness, there is John Krasinski.
Right.
You know, there is whatever the character that you've been waiting for.
I think if the only joy it comes in the surprise of the person showing up, then that's a joy that fades pretty fast because, like, it's not a surprise the second you've seen it or the second it's been spoiled for you. And I don't know how often you can resort to the well of like, wow, what a surprise, particularly given the age we're in where everything gets leaked online beforehand. But like, there's a limited amount of actors who would even be interesting to see show up at this point. Like almost everybody who's feels like they're willing to do one has been in one of these movies already. I don't know. I didn't mind how the cameos were utilized. I think that like I prefer when they're kind of lesser moments than quite so pivotal to the plot point. I did think it was a lull in the movie. I think there was a lot of like sitting around and talking in that section. Shift the camera and then hold for applause because you know the audience at home is going to be applauding.
So corny.
It just like, I think the sequence itself could have gone better. I didn't really hate it, but I didn't really love it that much either. I did like when it started to get violent, though. I mean, I gotta say that it's some of the most visceral, brutal filmmaking we've ever seen in a Marvel movie. I came out of it thinking about The Boys. I came out of it thinking about Invincible.
That was mine, Invincible.
I feel like maybe it wouldn't have existed had it not been for those other properties pushing what audiences maybe would accept from a superhero property. But it was very satisfying. And, you know, if you're going to go to this place and do some kind of like multiversal craziness, like let's get crazy. Let's get nuts. Yeah. Let's take out some people.
I guess my one thing with this would be, it's a cop-out being in another multiverse and introducing characters before you see them so that you could pull an Invincible type moment, so that you can pull a, kind of under the rug from you. In your opinion, considering that Captain Carter, the same Peggy we know, Photon, same one from Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
We haven't seen Xavier though, and technically Black Bolt was in the Inhuman show. You see it being the same Reed Richards in Krasinski. I thought he was bland as can be, bro.
Yeah, I mean,
are you excited for John Krasinski to be announced in Fantastic Four now that they kicked out John Watts? Thank you for your service, sir, and just being the what'd you call him? Line producer number 2 on the Spider-Man movies. Now it's time to bring in John Krasinski and let him do whatever he did with his wife. He said he had kids. I'd be very curious to see how they cast their kids as well. Mm-hmm. Do you want it to be John Krasinski? Do you want it to be somebody else?
I don't have anything invested in Fantastic Four. I know a lot of people are really excited for that one, and the people who seem excited for it seem to collectively be saying Krasinski is a bad choice for Reed Richards, which makes me want to not say that I enjoy John Krasinski still. I guess that makes me like a normie or like boring or whatever. I think he can be utilized in interesting ways. I have no idea. Like you tell me. You probably know a little bit more, but he shouldn't be Reed Richards.
No, I don't think he's nerdy enough.
No,
I think he wanted Cap. Cap,
yeah,
is not Reed Richards. So I don't want to see him doing his leftover Cap for Reed Richards. Does that make sense?
I hear that. Yeah. I mean, it does to me signal some of the worst tendencies about Marvel in that this has kind of been like the predominant online rumor, like, or at least online fan casting. And like, I don't know if fan casting is the way to go about making these movies happen.
Yeah, I don't know about that either. Yeah. I guess my thing would be is sticking to the story side of it.
Yeah.
If you come in and you have your main timeline dealing with another multiverse timeline, and then they go make a mess, wouldn't it stand to reason that if they're leaving behind kids and they're leaving behind other acquaintances, wouldn't they be like, nah, screw that other timeline for messing with our time? Are we just done with that?
Right.
That's the part in the multiverse where I'm getting sick and tired of, like, you're just using it as a way to go poop over here, litter and leave that stuff over there, and then just continue. But I'm like, why wouldn't that timeline, which is just a variation of yours, not want to be like, screw you for coming over here?
Like, what, isn't Wanda 823 gonna come after Wanda 616? Like, what? I don't know.
That'd be fire.
Like, can we not find a universe in which Wanda has died and the kids are looking for a mom? I don't know.
Where's the one where Vision stayed, bro? Where's the one where the man's still around?
So you didn't really enjoy the John Krasinski cameo. What do you think about bringing in Patrick Stewart?
I didn't mind the John Krasinski. I just don't think he's up for Reed Richards. Xavier, man. I was trying to tell you that they play the X-Men 97 theme song on purpose, and it is credited at the end, and it comes out in the yellow thing. Zach, don't laugh. I'm going to be straight with you. When it was rumored months, almost a year ago, that it wasn't going to be Professor Xavier from the movies, but Professor Xavier from the 1997 animated series that is going to get rebooted soon for Disney Plus, I went, what the hell are you guys talking about? No, like, you read that and you're like, what do you? So it's going to be played by the dude who was in the live action movies, but he's not going to come in and play the version of the live action movies that they now own because they bought Fox. It's going to be the animated version of the character that's not going to be in the live action version, but not the live action version of the X-Men, but the live action version of the MCU. You'd be like, what are you talking about? Zach, they played the theme. He's the animated Professor X.
I have a headache. I don't know, man. You know what would have actually been funny if he pulled up as an animated character in the middle of that scene.
Roger Rabbit.
Eat your heart out, Chip and Dale.
In the world of the multiverse, why not, dude?
Yeah, exactly.
Are you ready for
crazy.
that movie?
Oh.
That'd be crazy, though. Once we start dealing with like just straight up animated characters. That's what I'm talking about, man. We need more of that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was fine. I like to see in his like little under the skin scene when he tries to like get into her mind.
Yeah.
You know, the man's dealt with Phoenix Forces before. And people, dude, there are some crazy cams of this out there. I keep forgetting the technology. You know, I keep thinking it's gonna be all blurry. Some of these cam quality that people have gone out there in their iPhones, things nicer than what I saw in the Dolby,
right?
Man. I'm gonna need some of these copies. It is so crisp. Someone's going frame by frame on his murder. They're like, bro, he snapped the neck. She ripped his head in two in the dream sequence.
Oh,
and then when it cuts back, like if you frame by her, she looks like the nun, man. So I don't know, Zach. Maybe it should have been rated R. I'm not exactly sure. Right there. On a frame by frame basis, it's pretty messed up.
There were also a whole bunch of other cameos in that moment. Captain Carter, Photon, Black Bolt. Were you happy to see those? Any of those in particular stood out to you?
I guess that makes the Inhuman show canon until it's not canon. It's only canon.
And in Earth 823. That's the other thing. Why is that one not named Earth 1 if they discovered some of this stuff, right? I'm sure there's an answer for it in the comic books, but I don't care.
I liked it. I thought it was cool. It shows she's not conceited. She saved herself for 800 or whatever.
That's
whatever
a good
else.
Answer. I like
that. But in terms of Peggy Carter, Haley Atwell, I want to say like she should have her own series. She does. Give her another series. Give her something else. I always like more Haley Atwell in anything really.
Yeah.
Throw her in on some more stuff for the cinematic universe. She had the What If episodes that really had that storyline of what if she was the one who became Captain America.
Yeah.
She did not stay to fight all day as she claimed she was going to, but it's cool to see her. Photon was interesting. I'm just more interested in the implications of her having become Captain Marvel and what that would mean for her daughter, Monica Rambeau, considering Monica Rambeau lost her mom in WandaVision and hasn't had that closure and kind of seems to have some beef with Carol Danvers. Again, it's like, what are you just settling with the, oh cool, look, it's what if she was in the suit instead? And I'm kind of more interested in the, well, what are the implications in this universe if she became that,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but I guess I'm not supposed to ask that until I'm supposed to ask that. So I'm sorry, Kevin.
Let's play a quick game. Let's play, is this their last Marvel movie?
No.
I think first of all, we can be pretty safe to assume Cumberbatch, Gomez, Wong, they're all safe yeses. They'll be back. What do you think about Rachel McAdams? Is this Rachel McAdams' last Marvel movie?
I don't want it to be, dude. I thought they actually gave her some stuff to do. They had her in that Dr. Evil outfit for a majority of the movie, but she killed it, bro. She looked great in that. I keep calling her the multiverse traveler's wife, and I don't think that they're going to be able to ever withhold a relationship. But thematically speaking, he did fix the clock. And in fixing the clock, that is a step towards their relationship. But we'll be getting into the after credits later. I don't want it to be her last one. Because Stuhlbarg appears for like 1 minute. With
Michael Stuhlbarg.
Which rightfully deserved.
Yeah.
This man appears for like 2 minutes. He like kicks when you rewatch that scene, he kicks like the extra out. You see the extra go like, what? He's like, get out of here. Takes that place on the pew during the wedding scene. And I think delivered barely anything. Delivered a terrible line. I hate that they wrote, I lost my 2 cats and my brother. And I'm like, come on, bro. Like,
lead with the brother.
You're lucky that he's such a good actor that he's just going to take that line. But for 2 minutes of screen time, I need to see more of him. Come on, dude. This is not a Doctor Strange sequel. It's a stock Doctor Strange midquel.
Yeah,
before we actually get a sequel.
I think Stuhlbarg's probably not coming back, but if he does come back, I want him to be the new Thanos. Whatever it is, make him Thanos. McAdams, yeah, man, I do kind of think she said that she thinks she was going to be one and done in the first place, and I guess I'm glad that she's back. I feel like they messed up in not casting her as like an actual hero. Like, she's just such a good star and so flexible in terms of what she can do. I'm surprised they missed the boat on not getting Rachel McAdams into one of these, but I would be a little surprised. I guess I know you're going to get into later maybe why she might come back. I think I'd be a little bit surprised. What about Chiwetel Ejiofor? I was not expecting him to come back after the last one, but they brought him here. Do you think it's probably his last go around in the MCU?
Hell no, dude. Doctor Strange 1, the literal after credits is him becoming overly good. The whole point of the first movie was that what's her name messed up as the Ancient One and had one person in Mads Mikkelsen's character who became so evil. But then you have Mordor, who ends the movie with being overtly good and too much by the rules. That's always been his thing. And it ends with him saying no more sorcerers. Bro, that was in 2016. We finally get this movie, and it's an alternate version who's not answering any of this. Like, especially if he was mad in Doctor Strange 1, Zach, about sorcerers meddling with things, We've had his meddling in Infinity War, and Endgame, it's Spider-Man, and in this one, where is that 616 version of Mordo that you ended off with a tease? It's bad. We did not get any of him in this movie. It's bad.
Yeah,
You should come back.
I just don't. I don't know if they have a big enough reason to go back around, but I don't know.
Then why make it the after credit?
It may. I don't know, man. Patrick Stewart, do you think this is his last movie?
No, but it should be.
I don't know.
Logan was a great goodbye. I don't want to see Logan and him again.
The combo of Logan and this were kind of just. I feel like that's enough for this iteration of the character. Like they've got to do a new version of it somehow, and I don't think they're gonna do like a whole new set of movies with him as Professor X. So I don't know. I feel like they've found a way to bring him back, and that's enough. So yeah,
I like the cartoon, dude. Do the cartoon. Now I do want to see a 2D cartoon. Maybe he'll voice the reboot that they're gonna do for the 97 series.
That would be cool. Maybe we would like it if this was Krasinski's last. I actually think that would be really cool if he was only Reed Richards in this one version of the multiverse and ended up not being Reed Richards in Fantastic Four. That would actually make this cameo better.
It would be cool, but they're gonna announce him, bro.
Yeah.
They're gonna come out with a teaser. They're gonna announce him as the director, whatever else. But
I agree, but that would actually redeem it a little bit, like almost the way that people were thinking Tom Cruise would show up as Superior Iron Man.
Yeah.
By the way,
bro,
do you see
these people like swear?
Yeah, the people
swear
who think
that they got him in the vault,
that they filmed a cameo with Tom Cruise, got him to agree to be in the movie, shot it, and then left it on the cutting room floor. Like that's an actual thing that some people think happened.
And that Robert Downey Jr. did in fact film for Black Widow and then cut him out as well. And they're like, all these cuts are out there. And you know what? # release them, Zach. That's what we're gonna do.
That seems to be the way to get it to happen. Last one. I think we got to at least talk about the idea that this might be Elizabeth Olsen's last Marvel movie.
No.
You don't think there's any chance?
Zach, people really do think this is a Wanda movie. Look at the poster. Do you got a poster pulled up, bro? Pull up a poster. Pull up a poster. Look at how tiny. Go to the IMDb and check that name right there. Doctor Strange so tiny. It's damn near the size of the Marvel Studios. It says Multiverse of Madness. Who's right in the center? Her. Whole body right there. Yeah. Head, shoulders, knees, no toes. But all you get is his shoulders and his head. If you look online on all the trailers, everyone was coming in to see Wanda, not him. This is why The Man took so long to get a sequel. She got her own show. We were upset that it was like, wow, a TV show and not a movie? Hey, she sold that. It's probably the highest rated one out of all the shows. It's the one that's an Emmy winner, Zach. Mm-hmm. Well, I had to look back at it. 3 Emmys. First Emmys for the MCU. You think they're done with her? I heard she signed a multi-deal, bro.
I actually didn't hear
she signed
that.
Another contract.
All right, well, if she signed a contract, that's definitely not true. But this would have been like...
I heard. Reportedly, allegedly,
clean enough ending, I think, for me. And I don't know, maybe it's just that I saw the Jimmy Fallon clip where she's like, I don't like watching these. I think they're all going to be a flop. And I think maybe she's a little ready to move on. But yeah, I mean, look, people do really love the character. They didn't do anything that she, I guess, can't come back from. It just seems a little bit like they're going to have to do a lot of bending of logics and believabilities in order to get her back in a place.
Zach.
They do it every movie, so they're going to do it.
She tortured an entire community in WandaVision. They did not care. They're good over here. I see Ricky in the chat says that it's a 7-year deal. I don't know all the details, but I've been hearing about that. And Devesh also bringing up the fact that they have the Agatha show. I'm pretty sure they're going to bring WandaVision back for a season 2. Don't forget, there are storylines that have not been finished. Do you remember how WandaVision ends? She loses her kids, but her made-up vision literally puts his entire consciousness into the remnants of the broken vision. So that white vision that's out there said that they'll find each other at another point in time. And I mean, you just procreate and make more babies. I don't know. It's not like the original ones had them canoodling and inserting hard drives. I think that at that point they'll meet each other again, have it be a WandaVision 2 or part of the Agatha spinoff. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I feel like it would have been a clean exit for this character. I just don't know, man. It feels like
too much money, bro.
Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about some favorite moments from the movie. Do you have any favorite bits or scenes or things that happened?
Anything with Wanda on screen. I am just so relieved that I can finally enjoy Wanda as a villain, because people felt you did not like Wanda just because people were forgiving her actions. I like that they reveled in it, and every single moment with her on screen, even especially on the rewatch, was absolutely fantastic. One of my standout scenes would be when she's trapped in that little like mirror dimension,
Yes.
and she just breaks on through, and she is freaking them out through the reflections and the puddles and the gong, and she comes out all twisted. Bro, she looked like that woman in Old, man.
Whenever they started to get into that kind of like trippy visual stuff, I did really enjoy it. I also really liked the shape-shifting, traveling through the multiverse sequence, like
That's cool.
those sort of like bizarre psychedelic sequences were really, really cool. I do kind of wish there was a little more of that. Yeah, the Wanda stuff is really exciting there. Getting into some more of the Sam Raimi elements we really liked, you know. When he was able to like flex what he does, I really enjoyed it. There's sort of like an Evil Dead 2 style kind of handheld camera moment that Rachel McAdams gets. That's just so much fun.
Thank you for mentioning that. I need an HD version of that because it's so funny.
Yeah,
dude.
so
the
funny.
Faces she's making. I agree with you on that.
Just like maybe one of the more hilarious shots I've ever seen in an MCU movie.
Yup.
I thought everything with Zombie Strange was pretty funny. Just like a funny character design. Those little, I love those little guys, those little demons, the crazy little dudes.
You like them?
Yeah, they're funny guys.
I like the accents he was doing.
Yeah.
Because he's going for like a Clint Eastwood type thing in that movie. And then when he was playing his like darker side, the one with the ugly ponytail.
Oh my God.
He was trying to pull like a Jack Nicholson there, bro. Because he was saying some like Shining-esque lines. If you ever rewatch it, Zach, just like pay attention to the inflections that he added in that sequence. But yeah, the robot the zombie was interesting, and I've been hearing theories of people thinking, is this going to be the patient zero for the zombies, and eventually you'd be able to have a zombie movie? Because there is Marvel Zombies. Again, watch the What If series, Zach. And boom, you got yourself you're a genius. Create an Explain channel and just be like, I think they're going to be covering this.
There we go.
They put it all in the What If series, and considering they had a zombie episode, a Marvel zombie movie would sell.
Yeah, but they'd have to rate it PG-13, and then they get into this discourse all over again. And
they change the culture, and then they're gonna become so raunchy and like grotesque that when it goes back to being clean, they're gonna be like, ew, this isn't the Marvel I know. It just changes, dude. It just changes.
Yeah. So yeah, Zombie Strange sequence, that was fun. Evil Dead 2 style camera, that was fun. Do you like the music fight?
No, I like the Dutch angles. Let me say something nice before I say something mean. The Dutch angles, this is how you do them. I'm looking at you, Thor 2. Terrible Dutch angles. This is how you do it to make things uneasy. No.
I liked
my full respect to what they were doing.
Yeah.
Shout out Danny Elfman.
Yeah.
Good score. I was saying that he copied a lot of the scores that he's done in the past and just put it in there.
Yeah. He does that.
That's all he did.
He likes to do that.
He just blended his previous scores. He likes to do that. I know he had something to do with that fight.
The music for me is what really worked in that moment. I thought the score was pretty excellent. It's silly, but all this stuff is silly, man. At least it's silly and fun.
I don't know what prompted that. Why musical notes? Anything else, bro?
The pages went flying. Who knows, man? What prompted it is that Sam Raimi is friends with Danny Elfman.
Yeah, they're boys, but I mean, Iron Man was right. This man must be selling tickets to a clown costume party because he was playing musical chairs, man. Come on. It's too much. It's too much. I am curious, and I don't know how much of Doctor Strange 1 you remember, but it does seem like they are swapping out the score to be more rock-centric. The movie ends with a lot of riffs on electric guitars. Do you like that?
I know a lot of people.
Different theme.
I know a lot of people say that they like the last score more. Shout out to Vesh in the live stream who just said that. I don't remember it really at all, so I can't really say. Like,
that's how I like my Doctor Strange.
A comparison between the two, but I don't know, man. I like Danny Elfman, so I didn't have any problems with the score. I thought the music worked in the movie. I can't really.
It feels like it feels like Doctor Strange 3 is going to be the pick of destiny because. They keep like focusing on like heavy metal music and satanic, and those are the notes you need to get for like Doctor Strange and his evil book stuff. I don't know. We'll see how that ends up.
All right, should we get into the credit sequences?
Yeah, explain to me, Zach. Zach, who is the purple lady?
You're trying to get me to... I don't even remember her name. Okay. I thought that Doctor Strange 2 had both my new favorite end credit sequence and my new least favorite. And it's very funny to me that it seems like it's dividing audiences, but I am on the side of the people who really dislike the first one and like the second one, because what was happening in that first one? He's just like walking down the street and she shows up. Like, they used to try and give you things that happened in media res, or like where there's actual context that might be interesting, not just today Doctor Strange took a nice afternoon stroll. Like, what is happening here?
They have a range of either having the after credits be a scene from another movie and never really an after credits. Do you feel like this is just a scene from the next movie? So you feel it feels awkward as a post credit because it's really just a first act bit where he meets her. Do you get what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying, but if it's a scene from another movie, then it's a bad scene from another movie because there's no action.
Oh, I'm not arguing. And it makes no sense the way it gets dropped in there. Another one I'll throw to you. Remember, they made a new Funko Pop. They tore up his cape and now it's got a patch. So every time you see him, he's now got that patch on the cape to remind you what, Zach? That's your original 616 Doctor Strange. I don't know if he has the cape at the end of the movie when he does that cool thing to like go with Charlize. It does not seem like it's on there. So if I were to throw a theory out there, maybe it's not our Doctor Strange and it's somebody else. Maybe she went to go get an alternate Doctor Strange because our Doctor Strange has been messing around, man. So
interesting.
We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that there's still like so little happening there. Like I am just extremely tired of the Marvel post-credits scene where somebody shows up and says, "My name is this, and I'm the next thing that's going to be interesting." Like, it just is boring every time. It was boring when Harry Styles showed up. It's boring when Jon Snow opened the thing. It's boring. It's boring. It's boring. I want a scene, an actual scene that has a beginning, middle, and an end, not a character showing up to say a line. It's artless, you know what I mean? It's the most like it's when you finish watching an episode of TV and they show you quick scenes from the next episode. It's the most like on the next episode on shit ever.
Yes, upcoming. Yes, I do agree there. I will say the only thing I don't want to see from her is considering that she is another love interest in the comics, and I believe has replaced him in the comics at this point.
Clea, her name.
I'm not ready to get rid of Rachel McAdams. I like the dichotomy that they have with Rachel McAdams and him not being able to have her, but they're both kind of now in this multiverse love type thing. I guess we're just going to move on maybe to the next love interest, but I don't know. I kind of want him to keep Rachel. I like what they kind of have going on. I want him to learn his lesson for the third time again.
See, here's the thing. They are doing this thing now where it's like we don't want characters who are just like ordinary people. We want all our characters to be superpowered in some way. So she's just a boring love interest that's a doctor. She's not she doesn't have a power or something that makes her part of the adventure. Like
she a doctor in the other one. I feel you though, and this is where I worry.
Yeah.
I don't know how much you know about the comics with House of M. No, she's supposed to Scarlet Witch is supposed to snap her fingers because she lost her kids. And then she just says, "No more mutants," and they're gone. That's how powerful she is. What if they inverse that and she makes everybody superpowered and it does three things? You get that adaptation of her saying the words. Mm-hmm. It fixes the problem that in their universe they have not had mutants and now she gets to bring them in. And then worst of all, Zach, absolutely just garbage is the fact that they're like, yeah, these characters, now that we have multiverses that are fighting gods and Eternals, they kind of boring as hell. Everyone's a super.
Yeah. So instead of no more mutants, a lot more mutants. Only mutants.
No more humans, Zach. That's what it's going to be. I don't know. But let's talk about the actual most pivotal scene in this movie. Yes. What will be in the MoMA for years to come. Yes. The true artistry that we were presented with.
Pizza Papa.
And the real after credits.
The new great Marvel character, Pizza Papa. My favorite.
It's why the show's called After credits for this man right here. I linked right there down below. This has been a dude who, alongside with Sam Raimi, has always appeared for cameos. When Bruce did all the ones for Spider-Man right there, they're all fantastic. They're all great moments in the story, but even more than that, in the original, they were pivotal sequences for our main character. You know, he gets his name in that first one. He stops the love interest from their love from going on, and the third one was just hilarious as well for Spider-Man 3. This adds absolutely nothing to the story, but I found it to be hilarious. This is the better version of waiting for the after credits just for Captain America to be like, patience. I love the breaking of the fourth wall. It was 2 breaks that we got in this movie. One where Wanda stares at you after she possesses herself.
That was pretty cool.
That was fantastic. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
And then Bruce doing it as he yells, he just says, it's over. I thought it was great. Really good.
I don't know if I'm just projecting my own personality onto this moment, but to me, this was a little bit of Sam Raimi wrestling with the Marvel machine and being glad that he's made his way through it. Like he's dealt with all the
I see what you mean.
frustrations of it and the hitting yourself in the face to try and get your cool Evil Dead 2 style camera stuff through. So for me, I like it, especially if it's a little bit of the director peppering in his own stuff. But who knows even if Marvel would allow him something like that. It's very fun enough. Though.
It's Kubrick putting the sweater on the boy in The Shining, just letting you know it's the little secrets in there. No, I see that because every single time they're doing press and they're like, Sam Raimi got to direct and it's his style. Poor Sam Raimi's like remembering whatever day on set that they let him do whatever, because you know a true Sam Raimi movie would go crazy. But I like that read on it. It's canon now.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to hopefully get a lot more Pizza Papa. All right, so I think that's most of what we wanted to cover on Doctor Strange. We have a couple questions from the live stream that I'm going to get to. Let's go with Ricky's question first here. He asked, do you think Marvel movies should take a page from WB and just do solo, not connected movies like Matt Reeves or Nolan's Batmans, Todd Phillips' Joker, maybe like a standalone Gambit movie?
I'll do you one even better because it's what we were hoping for Moon Knight. They should be doing that with their series that they have on Disney+. They can really do that independent game like DC's been doing and pretending like they're adapting these movies from the 70s and then just putting them in their main characters and calling it a feature film. I think their stock would rise like crazy. You still keep your multiverse, but then still like what they're doing with What If. But because that's animated, they're able to separate it and be like, see, it's its own thing. I would love more one-offs. They're really creating a comic-like multiverse. When you go into a comic shop, you're seeing the main continuity, then you're seeing all these different stories. It should be like that for the movies as well. That would be really cool. And screw it, make them rated R.
Yeah, I mean, especially if they're going to open this thing up to multiverses and the idea that, like, maybe there's some stuff that could happen that is completely disconnected from Earth 616. Like, go there, try it. If you gonna give money to Sam Raimi, let him go and do Sam Raimi things. And, I think the thing is that unfortunately Disney only operates on this level of massive scale. And I wish they would just have like a couple different levels. Like, yes, I know the $200 million movies are global box office sensations that crowd the movie theaters, but like, why you can also fund something that's maybe $30 million or $50 million and
still brings you back that back end. Yeah, that still makes money. Exactly. Yeah. And that's why I'm saying the best way to do that, because they have all this marketing for TV or for the movies in theaters, that you literally have now built a platform where you can release that to people. And it does not have to be that expensive. Right. People will eat it up.
I saw a question on Twitter asking, like, what do you think it would take for a Marvel movie to actually flop? And I was thinking about it. It's like, I kind of feel like as long as there's some action, even if that action is like a little sillier or if it's a little more horrific, as long as there's just like action, I can't imagine one of these failing until there's like so many bad ones that people lose the taste for them, How
much did Eternals make? Because I know Eternals is the worst rated one.
Yeah, but it's still, I'm pretty sure, is like turned a heavy profit,
Because I guess that would be the only thing.
Yeah.
I feel that they will start getting worse ratings before they start losing money.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think that maybe people would get tired of them before they start to flop. You know what I mean? It'll lower. It'll be more gradual than that.
Mm-hmm. But I don't know, bro. They got Christian Bale coming up in Thor Ragnarok.
I mean, that one I'm excited for.
I don't know, Zach.
I'm excited.
Right when I think I'm out, Zach,
they pull
me right back in.
Julieta asks if you guys could pick a new, younger Professor X for the MCU, who would it be? That's a tough question. I also don't.
What's that guy from Split?
What? McAvoy?
I think James McAvoy would be really. There's something that I feel like he'd be really good at it. They just have to like shave his head.
Yeah, and see if he's down to do that. I don't know, man. This is like a weird. I don't know if even I have a good idea here. Who's like a very like proper.
Who looks good bald?
I mean, that's the other thing. Like, who's gonna do
one of the Sprouse brothers?
Jacob Elordi.
No, can you imagine? How tall he'd be in the chair. Oh my goodness.
TMNT Addict asks, is this as good as the gold standard of Infinity War or leaning towards Endgame? I did mention at the top that this is like top 5, maybe top 10 MCU for me, and at least for my list, which I will preface by saying is very different from most MCU lists I see out there. Like, I am really into directorial voice. The movies that have resonated with me are the films like Black Panther, Ragnarok, and this one, where you can really feel the director's hand on the steering wheel. And so for me, those more idiosyncratic ones are the ones that I lean towards. Like, I do think Endgame and Infinity War are kind of the gold standard in terms of these like bigger event movies, these bigger crossover things. I don't know if, even though I really appreciate Multiverse of Madness, it does get to that level of like entertainment of those two films. But there's just stuff here that I was genuinely excited by in a way that I'm not usually genuinely excited by in a Marvel movie.
I would further that by saying that, no, it is in my top half, Multiverse of Madness, but it doesn't compete with even the other movies that would be considered standalone movies. I feel that in Black Panther, you have a full story that gets scoped out. Here, you're getting the third act of Wanda's story and barely anything of Doctor Strange, right? Like, it feels like a footholder to something else. I had called it an appetizer, that these movies continue to feel like appetizers, and someone got really mad at me and said, don't you know it's part of this new trilogy on grief, coping, and whatever else, and it's the first of 3. And I had to take everything in my power to be like, yes, the first of 3 would be, Zach, the appetizer. I'm waiting for the entree.
Yeah.
I like it, but I don't think it's as complete as these other films feel. Because one, like Infinity and Endgame, that feels like one half to the other.
Right.
This feels like the stepping stone to something else that doesn't even feel like it's going to be for Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
This feels like what you need to watch to catapult you, and this is like the admission ticket to what we're about to enter.
Yeah, exactly. It's
good for that.
It's setting the table, you know, that's the thing that maybe is a little bit weird about Marvel right now, is it feels like there's a lot of table setting going on between their Disney Plus shows and their different new movies. But sooner or later, there's going to be some food on that table, I guess.
It's all I want. It's all I need.
Here,
it's all I can ask.
You need the full screen for that.
It's all I can ask for, man. They do this, bro, I'm gonna cry. They do this, and I'm gonna go crazy. This is all I need. That's it. This is what I've been waiting for the longest time.
Yeah. So I think those are most of our thoughts on Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I did have like a little bit on the comparisons happening between it and Everything Everywhere All at Once, but I don't know if that's like...
Talk about it.
I mean, look, it's, you know, there's this tweet that obviously a lot of people were dunking on over the weekend from ERC Box Office, talking about how Doctor Strange grossed more in one evening than Everything Everywhere All at Once did over its 6-course run, at least here in the US. And like, yes, the way that he phrased the tweet and his responses to it are really obnoxious and come from a point of view that's like, this is all a competition and you're losing, that I think is like a kind of gross way to look at these movies, but I do think it's like important to kind of, it's an interesting contrast to bring because of the way that Disney dominates multiplex screens, right? That the way that they demand a certain number of screens running at a certain number of times, that theaters stay open longer than their normal hours and have movie theater staff constantly turning these things around. The way that Disney has a grip on the theatrical business, I think is clearer here than it usually is, because Everything Everywhere All at Once, it's been like the big theatrical success everybody's talked about, and despite being this genuine hit, this word of mouth wonder that people are going and telling their friends to go to see, like that, just even all that effort still doesn't compare to what the corporate behemoth can do.
Yeah, you said that the Little Leaguer pitched this much, but in the MLB, they pitch. Well, yeah, yeah. You're like past college. You're in the pros. You're on probably substances. To me, if you diss an artist, Zach, you tweet at an artist, and you end up on that artist's song, who won?
Right.
It don't matter how good the diss is. You did. Mm-hmm. If Everything Everywhere All at Once can't leave somebody's mind when they're doing box office numbers, who won? You can compare Everything it to any other movie out there, but you want to compare it to the one who's made a splash. Simple as that.
Yeah. But it does go to show, just like, you know, there is really like... even if it's like a smaller box office number, that doesn't necessarily mean it's having a different sized impact, because I think there's been a lot of discussion around Everything Everywhere All at Once. And I don't know if, even though there's a lot of people seeing Multiverse of Madness, they might not be discussing it quite as passionately as people are discussing Everything Everywhere All at Once, which goes to show that like there still are these movies that can break through despite not having the advertising power of a Disney. And for me,
that's a great thing.
Yeah, it's a great thing. You know, there's obviously huge differences in what these movies are aimed for. One is aimed at a more general audience. One is aimed at a more niche audience looking for something that's more art house. But like, it's also interesting to see like they both approach the multiverse concept in such different ways, where Daniels are going all out in terms of like eccentricity and vulgarity and hot dog fingers and also and rock universes, and what you get in Multiverse of Madness is like the go is green, or go is red and stop is green in this universe. It's different. It's interesting how they approach their creativity is all I'm trying to say, I guess.
And I'm glad that they're both out there. I think the best thing we got to ask for is that when you have all these Marvel movies that are coming out and the worry of them taking over theaters, to see something like what the Daniels has done, to continue to be up there and have the legs that I don't know if MOM's going to have, considering we have a lot of big movies that are on the horizon as well. Dude, Everything Everywhere All at Once came out, a month or so ago? And just last week, right before Thursday, when they started screening Multiverse, they were replaying it in IMAX.
Because people are just really hungry for it.
That's cool. Yeah. So if you're a big Marvel fan and you have not heard of the Daniels movie, I would say go check it out. I think if you're in the multiverse hive, you know, it's kind of like when people were into zombies and vampires and all that stuff. They would like consume anything that had to do with that. Right now we're in that multiverse craze, and I'd say you have one of the biggest movies covering it out there in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but you also have some really good movies such as Everything Everywhere All at Once that I think may not be making the box office numbers, but
yeah,
I'm pretty sure it'll have more awards and gold by the end of the year.
Although,
so give them both a watch.
Yeah, a really interesting thing that happened, and maybe a bit poetic, after 6 weeks and the movie theaters climbing its way, on the day before Doctor Strange was released, Everything Everywhere All at Once was the #1 movie at the box office for one day, May 4th. It got there. It got there.
The 4th was wisdom. Look at that.
Yeah.
That's sick. That's cool.
All right.
I like that.
Yeah. All right, but that, I think, about does it for our thoughts on Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness and this edition of After Credits. You can catch more from me, Zach Shevich, by following me on Twitter, Instagram, or Letterboxd at ZShevich, ZSHEVICH Art. Where can people find more from you?
Those numbers are crazy, bro. I'm just looking at the Everything Everywhere All at Once being 41 days out there. That's crazy.
Crazy.
But you can find me over at LME Explain on Twitter, on YouTube, on Letterboxd, looking for another IMAX screen to probably catch everything everywhere all at once, or that Top Gun teaser again. But you could always catch me here on the Intercut podcast.
You can listen to every episode of the Intercut podcast on iTunes, Anchor, Spotify, your favorite podcatcher. I like Overcast, personally speaking. And then make sure you subscribe not just to the audio podcast, but to the video feed as well. YouTube.com/IntercutPod, where you can watch our bright smiling faces as we break down the latest in entertainment. Find new episodes of our Intercut Weekly must-watch streaming on our YouTube channel Mondays at 3 p.m. Eastern. We're also going to try and be doing these after credits on a weekly basis, so stay tuned and keep watching movies so you can be up and ready for the spoilers. Yeah, recommend movies that are coming out in the future that you want us to do an after credits on. We will be checking comments. Please leave a comment, like the video. Consider heading over to iTunes to give us that much requested 5-star review. And shout out to all of you who do. Shout out to all of you in Ecuador who put us on the TV and film podcast charts out there, like our Facebook, our Instagram, our Twitter, our Patreon. All of them are at Intercut Pod to get updates throughout the week from me, from Art, from all the guests that we feature here on Intercut. Thanks again for tuning in, and until next time, whatever multiverse you're in, you're going to get mustard to the face.
Yikes.